Donald Trump's criminal contempt. What's happening?
First of all, okay, let me sit up straight for this because
Fix your back,
it's gonna blow your mind, and if it doesn't raise your blood pressure, you got problems. Okay. Trump is now going through one of his multiple lawsuits or one of his multiple prosecutions. This is out of New York State. It's a criminal prosecution, a 34 felony count of falsifying business records because it is alleged that the money he was paying to Michael Cohen, convicted perjurer Michael Cohen. If you're watching Michael Cohen, convicted perjurer according to
you're a scumbag.
Arthur Engeron wrote this in his decision. In another case, that convicted perjurer Michael Cohen was believable to him in the context of that case. So the idea is that he made these payments to Michael Cohen, which he labeled in the ledgers of his books as attorney fees. Mm-hmm. The allegations are that they were actually concealed payments to Stormy Daniels, an adult star, a porn actress, also a liar, and that they lied about what they were to conceal them for the purposes of influencing an election.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the case. It's horse crap of the highest order.
Yes.
In the context of this case, Trump has been gagged because, where's the camera here? Because Judge Marchand has a daughter who is an executive or a president or involved in a PR firm that is raking in millions of dollars, hands over fist, off this prosecution. Adam Schiff is one of her clients.
Really?
Democrat political action committees are one of her clients. She worked on the Kamala Harris campaign in 2020. Trump put this on blast by linking to, it was a New York Post article that brought all this to the fore. The judge gagged Trump in this case because Trump had been gagged in every other case under that other New York one under nipple Judge Engeron.
Engeron, that loser.
So, you know, Judge said, well, he's been gagged in New York. He's been gagged by Judge Chutkin in D.C., so I'm going to gag him. Can't talk about the judge, his family, the prosecutor, his family. Can't talk about potential witnesses. Can't make social media posts that might intimidate potential witnesses. And Trump was brought up on 10 charges of contempt because he was tweeting out at convicted perjurer, according to Arthur Engeron, Michael Cohen, saying, convicted perjurer lying sleazebags, Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels, in response while he retweeted a tweet from Michael Avenatti, which said the two-star witnesses are liars and porn stars in this case, and it's a bogus case. He was brought up on 10 charges of contempt, criminal contempt, and the judge, Juan Marchand, whose daughter is making millions on this case. Judge Juan Marchand, according to the daughter who did a podcast in 2019, mentioned how her dad was talking with her about how he hates politicians who use Twitter. It's unpresidential. It's unbecoming. So the judge issued an expanded gag order himself and now is adjudicating on 10 charges of contempt brought by the people, brought by the government. And he found him guilty on 9 of the 10 charges. The posts, the impugned posts, one was a retweet of Michael Avenatti referring to Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels as sleazebags. 4 of them, or several of them, were retweeting to an article in the New York Post about Michael Cohen. One of them was a paraphrasing but quoted as Jesse Waters saying, activists are getting onto the jury. The case is bogus, yada, yada. The judge adjudicating on his own unlawful, in my humble opinion, enhanced gag order says, retweeting or retruthing or reposting. It's a case-by-case basis, but in this case, I say he's making the words his. And he found him guilty of 9 of the 10 charges. $1,000 per fine, because I think that's the statutory limit. But the judge in his ruling says, this type of deterrent won't be a deterrent for people who have the means. If I could fine him $2,500 or even $150,000, I would, but my hands are tied, except I can imprison him. And there's a stern warning that if he does it again, I might put him in jail. The most amazing thing, and I'll end my soliloquy in a second. I
love it.
Is at one point in his judgment, he says, look, the court's very conscientious that this gag order should not be used as a sword as opposed to a shield by potential witnesses. Trump's defense was that I'm only retweeting, I'm only responding to Michael Cohen, who's taking to Twitter to shitpost against me. I'm only using this to respond to Stormy Daniels. They're doing podcasts. They're going on Twitter, needling Trump. Michael Cohen put out a tweet calling him Mr. Shittin' Pants or something. Put out a tweet about his Air Force One with a Denver boot saying this is how he's going to pay his the bond in the Engeron case. He says, all I'm doing is responding to their attacks on me. I'm gagged, and these witnesses get to go and shit on me all over Twitter, social media. And the judge says, we're very conscientious that they should not be using this gag order as a sword and not a shield. So if they do that again in the future, then I might consider it if and when. But until then, all's good for the past. Guilty on 9 of the 10 charges. The judge is biting at the bit to lock Trump up. It's undeniable.
Go ahead.
First question, being a lawyer. Gag orders, they're a thing there in Canada as well, right?
More and more, they have become the rule and not the exception.
I just said from the lawyer's perspective, when are they positive? Like, I'm not visibly aggravated because Vinny and I, we've been screaming about this for months on end, like actually shouting and screaming about it. But how can you make a case? When would
in this case,
no,
you
but
cannot.
Can you make a good case for it? Like, can you name a case that a gag order is in place?
Yeah, witness identification, disclosure potentially of some evidence that other potential witnesses might then destroy. You could think of very rare, extreme examples, or in the case of minors. You could think of some cases where the exception to the rule of public hearings can possibly be warranted. In this case, the judge is saying we got to gag Trump on his First Amendment rights in order to protect the administration of justice. Allowing people their constitutional rights is the administration of justice, first of all. And I'll shout out to Joe Neerman, Good Logic, a New York attorney, actually filed, it's a Rule 78, I forget what it's called, to challenge the gag order. Joe Neerman, Good Logic, LAWGIC, went to court and said this gag order is unconstitutional, but not just for Trump, for my rights to hear what he has to say. This is an election season. I want to hear what the candidate has to say. It's not his right to speak only. It's my right to hear. And then the judge swiftly said, no, come back with a bigger name and maybe we'll reconsider this. In the ruling, the judge in the conclusion ordered Trump to remove two truth posts or two posts from his campaign website. To which I tweeted out, this is election interference. You're telling a candidate to remove information that his constituents want to see. Remove it from your campaign website in an election season while you're being tied down for 6 weeks of trial, gagged during the 6 weeks of trial. This is lawfare election interference, and everybody has to see it for that. And the judge really wants to put Trump in jail. It'll be glorious if they cross that Rubicon.
And he took those tweets down, correct? Or the posts on True Social.
I'm not going to call him a coward. I believe he did remove them as per the judge's order. The question is going to be if he comes out and tweets something, gives his presser in the morning. Judge is just waiting. They're just waiting.
Dude, how does someone... A couple things. How are the American people not livid? I don't care if you're left, if you're right, I don't care. If you can't see what is happening and you're not losing complete faith in the judicial... just the courts, everything that's happening, it's so obvious that this is a political tactic that they're doing from everything from Russia collusion to this shit. Sorry for my language. It's unheard of. And if you're the average American out there, holy crap, you should be crapping in your pants because if they're doing that to him, you're nothing. So they've been, dude, I have no faith in the courts. Imagine what they've done to people for hundreds of years.
That's the interesting point, is that this is nothing new. They've just gotten so arrogant and pompous. Jeez. They thought they could get away with it against the president. They've been doing this to low-level criminals or even innocent people for forever. And now they've done it for the whole world to see. But this is the issue. Who would be tolerating of this? Who would be approving of this? We are now witnessing who would have been the people cheerfully gleeing the street lynchings, the judicial lynchings of eras past, because we've replaced racial prejudice with political prejudice, and you now know who would have been sitting there cheering it on and saying, I hate that guy so much for whatever immutable reasons, for whatever political reasons, I'll put up with the injustice. We're seeing them now reveling in this.
Well, think about it, Vinny. The American people did get livid on this subject one time, and the feds turned into January 6th.
Yeah.
That's how they have marketed this, where now anytime people who are in Trump's camp get upset about these things, oh, it's another insurrection, and we're going to imprison every person who attends it as a domestic terrorist.
Yeah.
It's people facing decades in prison. And the more footage we get out, like they just found out through a released video that the guy who had Nancy Pelosi's podium never stole
Adam
it.
Johnson.
Yeah, he was holding it. He didn't steal it.
Yeah. Well, I've had Adam Johnson on the channel. Yeah. I hung out with Adam up in Florida over spring break. Amazing guy. I've known for a long time, his defense was, I never stole it. I moved it maybe 20 meters to put it in Canadian. They had that exculpatory video, and I posted it to Twitter. It went quasi-viral, like 1,000+ retweets. Yeah. You have the CCTV footage from the rotunda. He moves it, puts it in the middle of the rotunda, gives a fake joke speech, takes some pictures, it's all silent, and then walks off and leaves it. I made the joke that bastard left it. He moved the furniture and didn't move it back. But they knew it. And they framed people. They hid exculpatory evidence. They weaponized the system to go after their political rivals. And too many people on the left are like, well, okay, it's good because I don't like him, but it doesn't end there. It's going to come for everybody.
Well, just think about the injustice at every level of every Trump case, because not only is the judge in the Stormy Daniels cover-up corrupt, obviously Alvin Bragg, the district attorney, is corrupt as well.
Soros-funded Alvin Bragg.
Exactly. And the reason he has all those charges against him in this case is because every time Trump moved money to Cohen, and then Cohen allegedly moved money to Daniels, is recorded as a separate fraud instance. This should be one charge of, making hush money payments.
It shouldn't even be one charge because there's no underlying crime here. But
Exactly.
you're right. They took one entry, became 3 or 4 charges: the payment, the check, the ledger, for payments that were $35,000 a month for 6 months. So they take like 3 or 4 a month. Bam, 34 charges.
Every time money moved from one person to another, it's a separate charge. It shows that they are twisting the law in every conceivable way.
They
just
are
to get
accusing Trump of election interference. They are the ones engaging in election interference from every aspect of this. They changed the law so that E. Jean Carroll could sue. They got in front of which Judge Kaplan in that case, and they got their judgment. Engoron, they get their judgment. It's weaponization of and changing the laws like they did in 2020 on steroids.
Dude, and by the way, the only solace that I find in this whole thing is that he's getting stronger and stronger, and people are seeing it, even on the other side. Now you've seen the left start to finally open their stupid mouths because now they're like, wait a minute, this kind of isn't fair. Kind of isn't fair, my ass. It's absolutely ridiculous. Guys, he has been a threat. They cannot let him win. This is just another tactic. Remember, Hillary did it with the DNC with cheating with the Russian collusion, which, mind you, what'd she get? Like a $8,000 fine and a slap on the wrist? That bitch should be in jail.
The emails.
The Steele dossier. They're charging Trump with the idea that by buying off this story, it would influence an election. Hillary Clinton paid for that opposition research, which was a bunk.
Yeah.
Paid for it, mislabeled the payment, gave it to her attorney, who then slipped it to the FBI in a meeting that he said wasn't for his client, and then billed her for that. He went to trial, Michael Sussman, in D.C., gets acquitted because politics is what it is.
Weird.
I won't put the racial side in it, but the man caught with a gun in his hand, acquitted. The man who was never even there, but they said he did it, kill him.
Yeah.
And the crowd cheers. So it's not just double standards, it's lawlessness.
One question to end on a positive note. How do you feel about the Supreme Justice, the Supreme Court?
They had the immunity arguments, the oral arguments last week, which I live streamed, commentated.
Yep.
I was not as encouraged based on the oral arguments as other people were. I'm not playing Monday morning quarterback or backseat lawyer. I think that the lawyer for Trump made some concessions during that I wouldn't have made, that certain allegations in some of the indictments were purely private acts, which necessarily means there will be no immunity whatsoever. I'm of the opinion everything that Trump does, unless he gets impeached and convicted for it, you can't have rogue prosecutors after he's out of the presidency going after what they did not impeach him and convict him for. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. But I wasn't happy with it. We'll see. Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised by the ruling.
Well, I just hope to God, bro, these guys are like, listen, I'm really looking for the future because I'm thinking past Trump, like, meaning God willing he wins. If he doesn't, it's life after Trump. I don't know. Dude, this is the only guy that's fighting for us. That's the only person that's in their way. I don't trust anybody else. He's the one. He came in. He tried to fix everything, and look what they've done, and look where the country
I'll
is.
end it with a pot with a white pill. They've awakened the people to this. So it's Trump at the helm of it, but there's a populist, not revolution, but rather awakening. People now see how fundamentally corrupt the entire system is.
Yep.
And even the naysayers and even the Democrats are getting
They're
wise
finally
to it.
waking up. Well, dude, I hope they wake up faster.